بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير. The first of our loud salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. A second even louder salawat in honor of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. From Fadak to Parachinar, the genocide continues, and the attacks continue, and the killings continue against those who love Fatima and Ali, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhima. Indeed, you find that what's happened in the past week has caused shockwaves in a number of parts of the Muslim world. Maybe not enough. The reality is that while some of us are recording this and broadcasting this, and sending this message in the media, there are still many media outlets that have not mentioned what's happening in that part of Pakistan. Very rarely do you see on some of the most famous outlets in the Western world a mention being made, for example, of Peshawar, for example, of Parachinar, for example, of Quetta. For example, that whole northwestern region, hardly ever do you see any concern being shown. And that may be partly a bias that exists in the media, or that may also be partly because we're not active enough in the media. And that discussion will come to shortly. But the reality is that when you look around, it's an embarrassing situation for the religion of Islam. Forget making this a Sunni Shia issue. Rather, it's an embarrassing situation for Islam. That when a person says that they believe in La ilaha illallah, and they say that Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad, then it's embarrassing when a non-Muslim witnesses us with all our different denominations and our sects ready to fight each other, ready to kill each other, ready to oppress one another. Indeed, you find therefore that this particular issue, not only is it an embarrassment for Muslims, but you find that where Muslims are being attacked by oppressors in other parts of the world, the last thing we need is for Muslims to fight one another. The reality is that when you are the victims of genocide in parts of the Middle East, you suddenly find that those people who will never be there on the front lines to defend Muslims in these areas, they only show their bravery against other Muslims. They only are ready to attack other Muslims. Therefore, there is a need for all of us to speak on this issue. There is a need for all of us to understand this issue, understand the background of this issue. If I come to the average person in a number of households of those who claim to love Muhammad and Al Muhammad and ask them, tell me about the demographic of the Shia in Pakistan, you'll find that there are many who don't know anything about that demographic. They don't know anything about the history of the people there. about what these people have faced, about even that area. If you show someone the map of Pakistan and say, where is Parachinar on this map? Where is the Quram agency? Where is, for example, Khaybar Pakhtunkhwa and all that area? Many of us are oblivious to this. We might show you on a map of Iraq, where is Najaf, where is Karbala. If you show me a map of Lebanon, I might show you the southern area. If you show me a map of Syria, I might even show you Damascus and the Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam area. If you show me Saudi Arabia, I might show you Mecca and Medina. But it's as if there are some whose concern when there is genocide in these areas is loud. But when it comes to a Pakistani, or it comes to any other of the followers of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salam alayhim, all of a sudden it changes to, I'm not really sure how much I can relate to this issue. The different types of movements we see exist within humanity when it comes to speaking out against such moments. What are the different groups of people? One group of people are those who speak out whenever they see oppression anywhere. They follow the guidelines of Imam Ali alayhi salam, oppose the oppressor and support the oppressed. They are those people, be they in their sect Sunni or Shia, when they see any human being who's being oppressed. If I see now someone who's not Muslim, he's a Christian begging in the street, then I will feel for that person that why can the Muslim community not help that person? That's the first type of person you'll see. If they are non-Muslim, they care about any human being who's suffering. If they are Muslim, they care about any human being who's suffering. They are not selective. If I see someone in Sudan suffering, I'll speak. Someone in Congo suffering, I'll speak. Someone who's my neighbor in London, I'll speak. Anywhere where there is dhulm, the first group of people are those who don't let their sectarian bias get in their way when they see dhulm. They say that, look, no one wants to see women and children being tortured, being displaced, without shelter, without care. The second group of people are those who, for example, will care about their sect if their sect's people are being affected only. You may find someone who is a member of the Sunni Muslim community. If someone in Palestine is being hurt, they're the most outspoken. You tell them that there's someone who's Shia in Pakistan, who is a human, by the way, just in case we forgot. If you tell them that this person is being oppressed, you won't see on their social media anything about the Shia being killed. They'll say, maybe I didn't know about it. You don't know about it because your main concern is only who of your sect gets hurt. A Shi'i gets killed? No, I don't really need to mention anything. But that's not just someone in the Sunni community. Maybe someone also in the Shia community. You might find someone in the Shia community, when it comes to posting, for example, seeing oppression take place, let's say in Palestine, then they will put up post after post after post after post. It comes to Pakistan, for example, it'll be, well, I really don't know much about that area. I guarantee you, if you took me today to Kuwait, or you took me to the United Arab Emirates Shia communities, if I go and sit with them, you'll find that they may not even mention anything, or not even care if a Pakistani Shia is killed. It might be of no concern. There might be some even in the Iraqi community today. They live their lives, but you may speak to your parents and they might not mention anything about a Pakistani Shi'i being killed. That person doesn't just come and talk about oppression. They may neglect members of their own. So you see, sometimes even in the Sunni world, there may be people in the Sunni world who have no interest in speaking about their own causes. And there might be people in the Shi'i world who talk about Shia-Sunni unity, but forget Shia-Shia unity. Who talk about Shia-Sunni unity, but might forget about the causes of their own Shia. So you've got another type of people. Who are they? The ones who only care about what happens in their sect. At the end of the day, when I see dhulm anywhere, what is the mantle, or what is the barometer which Imam Ali alayhi salam reminds me of? Oppose the oppressor, support the oppressed. Don't be someone who's silent. Why? Because if you're silent on that issue, one day they'll come for you as well. You may think that now they're not coming for you. Another time they may come and they may attack you. But the sadness of all sadnesses is that while many will mention causes which are maybe sometimes even newsworthy, maybe sometimes there are causes that get you likes. I see when it's a protest, for example, for a particular area in the world, everybody comes out. If today there's a protest for Parachinar, how many of those who come out for other causes would come out for Parachinar? Let me tell you of an experience that happened with me well over 15 years ago. The Pakistani embassy in London, as you all know, is in Lowndes Square in Knightsbridge. There was a demonstration being held, similar issue, maybe around 2007, when it was one of the heights of the worst period for Parachinar and the killings that took place and the sectarian violence that occurred. I went to the demonstration. When I went there, I noticed a few things. The first thing that I noticed was, soon as I got there, people saw me. They said to me, Said Ammar, you have to speak. I said, I don't have to speak. When I come for a demonstration, I've come to stand alongside all of you. I don't attend places just that I always have to speak. When I know that people are being oppressed, I came to Lowndes Square. I stood with the rest of the Pakistani community. Notice I said I stood with the rest of the Pakistani community. I looked around. On the second thing that I noticed, there were a lot of Desi Maulanas. Hardly any Arab Maulana, hardly any Iranian Maulana, hardly any Lebanese Maulana. I didn't see Maulanas from all other cultures except Pakistani. The Indo-Pak Maulanas were all there, and I can name them one by one, the ones who gave speeches. And I remember even asking at that time by saying, where's the Maulanas of the others, nations of the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam? When it's an issue that affects Lebanon, I see all the Desi Maulanas come to the demonstrations. When it's an issue that affects Palestine, I see the Desi Maulanas attend. And I see the Iranian Maulanas attend, and the Iraqi Maulanas attend, and the Lebanese Maulanas attend. And I can make 70 excuses why they weren't there in Lowndes Square. There might be other demonstrations where they have attended. But one thing I noticed, which was clear to me from that time until today, that is, when it's a Pakistan issue, it's by the wayside for a lot of the Shia. And when it's another country's issue, suddenly becomes a reality. Some might say to me, no, even I care when it's a Pakistan issue. If I was to ask you, tell me about that area where people are being killed. What's the Shia history in that area? My brothers and sisters, where we are born is arbitrary in all honesty. I could have been born in Rwanda. I could have been born in London. Alhamdulillah, I could argue that I was born somewhere safer. Someone could have been born in that area in what is one of the most dangerous parts of the world. That person who's born in that area, whether they are Shia or non-Shia, the reality is it's not their fault that they were born in a dangerous area. They were born in one of the most difficult areas for them to grow up in. What I mean by this is, count your blessings when you are in an area of peace and security. Because there may be another Shia who may be in an area where they can't go to Karbala without fear of being beheaded on the bus. Yes? When a person wants to go for ziyarah, me and you will book from London. We might go through Turkey. We might go through God knows where else, where we're able to reach Najaf or Baghdad, for example. Some of these have to take buses through some of the most dangerous areas. It means that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask me on the day of judgment, what did you do with the ni'mah that I gave you? Which other Shia or other Muslims found difficulty in. Also on this area, let's not simplify this as a Sunni versus Shia war. This is very important. Because the reality is that you cannot generalize a whole group of a sect that they all have the same opinions in that area. I, for example, have friends of mine from that area who live in London. Yes, them living in London and interacting with Shia meant that their worldview expanded. But even they will say that we don't agree with some of the policies of the militants over there. So when a person comes and says that this particular issue is Sunni Shia, we can't simplify it as Sunni Shia. There are other hands which are involved that have sought to divide, have sought to ruin, and have sought to destroy. Let us tonight examine so that all of us humbly are more aware of our people in another part of the world. And I'd like to do this in the following stages. Number one, this area, Parachinar. Why has it become one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous part of the world? What is the history of the area, the history of the Muslims in this area, and which different parts in their history have led to this tension that exists? Number two, can a person simplify this as a sectarian war, or is there more to it? Number three, how important is it that the media talks about this issue? And why is it that the media has not spoken more? Is it our fault or the non-Muslim Western media who have a particular bias? Further than that, of the utmost importance, have our maraji' said what they need to say? And what are the statements that they're promoting? And does every marji' have to word everything in exactly the same way? Or does each one have a different opinion or solution? What is the solution that one could find in that area? Is there a possibility there'll ever be peace? Or do we have to give up and say that that's an area of war? Further than that, for our brothers and sisters who are there, are they the first of the Shia to face this type of oppression? Or have there been oppressions like this in the past? And how does Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam talk about those Shia who, when they face the fire of oppression, what emerges from them? And of the utmost importance, how does he help us to narrate the worst of genocides? The genocide of Karbala and what took place in Kufa and Sham. Let's examine this and dissect the topic in complete depth. This area of Parachinar, I could safely say, is one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous, part of the world. Someone will say to me, the most dangerous part of the world? Yes. When an area is dangerous, there could be a number of reasons it's dangerous. But know one thing, that Parachinar in Pakistan is 90 kilometers from Kabul. I'll leave the rest to your imagination. The area, Parachinar, is in Pakistan. It's 90 km from Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. That area is even known, that particular area is known as the Beak. Because you know that Parachinar is the capital of the Qurum agency. And that area is known as a particular area where there have been difficulties and there has been fight and there has been war. If you imagine the beak of a bird, for example, why is it known as the beak? Because here it is, and you've got the shape of the beak, and you've got around it, 90 kilometers away is Kabul, and then you've got these three other areas within Afghanistan, that whole border area. You've got over there Panjshir, you've got Nangarhar, and you've got Khost. That area is an area that has always been a difficult area. Since when? Not since 10 years ago. Not since 15 years ago. Not since 30 years ago. Since when the British were ruling that area. Because when the British, of course, were ruling India, they wanted to have control of the whole of India. And they got control of the whole of India until eventually they got control of the Punjab area. The British, having gained control of that whole area of India, you found that they had their war in what was known as the Anglo-Afghan War, the British and the Afghans. That area meant that eventually after the war, the British gained even more control of this area until eventually they tried to find a particular way in which both sides of the border could live in relative peace. But the cities on the border of British-ruled India and Afghanistan, in many cases, were neglected. If I tell you about that area, many of you will know Peshawar, Parachinar. You go towards the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, what you all know as Hazara as well, Jammu Kashmir. This whole area has always been disputed land. But it's also been dangerous. Why? It's been dangerous because it's an area that at times was neglected. For example, if in India, when the British were ruling, they were building, for example, roads and canals, this area was neglected. If there were water facilities that were being built with modernity, this area was being neglected. Even in the political system of the British rule, this area was not politically given the same amount of rights as, for example, the rest of the area that they ruled. Because of this, a lot of the people there, on the one level, felt that they were being neglected, felt that there was a lack of resources for them, felt at the same time, whereas everybody else was being looked after, they were completely being forgotten. And so because of all of this, you found that this area eventually became an area that was neither being looked after by the British rule in India, even though they tried to come with different manifestos and different treaties to try and look after that area on the border of India and of Afghanistan. Eventually, when the British do leave India and the partition occurs, that becomes a part of where? A part of Pakistan. But even becoming a part of Pakistan, it is still not given the same political importance, and it's still not looked after as the rest of Pakistan. So for years, the people in this area, who are made up, especially if you go to the Qurum Agency, you will find that in that area is made up of maybe 45% or so Shia. 55% what? 55% Sunni. You will find, therefore, that the area closest to the border of Afghanistan is mainly the Shia are living there. So I want you to imagine, with what you know about the history of the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, that on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan, that area on the border where Parachinar is, you have a huge Shia community. Let's say in that whole area, there's 785,000 people. 45% Shia in the upper Qurum area, and there is the lower and the central Qurum area. Lower Qurum and the central Qurum is Sunni. Upper Qurum is what? Shia. The Shia have their tribe representatives, and the Sunni have their tribe representatives. On the one level, therefore, there is already this idea that if we are the majority, we should have more land automatically. There is a dispute similar to that land that belonged to the Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim, where a person wants to take control of a land or confiscate a piece of land, or that land belongs to us. So on the one level, it's got nothing to do with Shia Sunni. On the one level, there's this land dispute that's there. But then this becomes escalated into Shia Sunni. When does this escalation occur? There are different periods where this escalation occurs. But in particular, if now you want to help the Afghanis fight the Russians, let's say in the 1980s, the Iranian Revolution has taken place in 79. The Afghanis want to fight the Russians. The Americans want to, of course, help with all their sincerity and kindness. They want to help the Afghanis fight the Russians. The Afghan are in a jihad. The Mujahideen are going to come from everywhere. The Mujahideen are going to go through where? So if I'm a Mujahid, mashallah, from Jordan, and my name is Zarqawi, or I'm a Mujahid, for example, and my name is Zawahiri, or I am, for example, Abdul Umar or Abdul Uthman, or whatever my name is, I'm a Mujahid and I want to come towards fighting with the rest of the Mujahideen. Where am I going to go through? An area that has already lacked resources. Geographically, it's already complex. There's already a dispute over land. There are some people in that part who are no longer saying we're Sunni. Now, my name now is that I'm Ahl Hadith. No, I am Salafi. No, I'm Deobandi. Now it's not Sunni anymore. Now I've gone towards which direction? A militant direction. In the Sunni world, the Salafi school, there is a Salafi who, for example, is what? You have a Salafi who is jihadi, and a Salafi who may be obedient towards the government, irrespective of the government. Because sometimes when you hear someone's Wahhabi or Salafi, you automatically assume they're all Mujahideen and they all want to topple governments with jihad. No. There are some who may be Salafi in their religious persuasion, but they don't want to bring down a government. They will actually obey the ruler, irrespective of how religious they are. There are others, no. I want you to imagine the scene that the Afghan-Russian war, and everybody wants to come from the militant Salafi schools to come to Afghanistan. Where are they going to go through to go to Afghanistan? Not somewhere someone would book for a holiday, no doubt. The border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. You're going to go through there. You're going to go through that area to go and fight with the Afghanis. The Afghani, what are their names? The Taliban. Taliban, as you know, there is Taliban Pakistan, Taliban Afghanistan. So now you have the Taliban of Pakistan, the Taliban of Afghanistan, and you've got Mujahideen who are coming left, right, and center, going through which area? The beak. So they're going to go through Parachinar, the Qurum Agency, And they're going to make their way towards where? Towards Afghanistan. In making their way at that time, there is also the spread of propaganda for them in the madrasas. That Iran, Shia, Kafir, Shia, Mushrik, Shia, Ahl al-Bid'ah. You put all of that together, I want you to imagine the rest as to what's going to happen to the Shia who are living in this area. Because that Mujahid, if he sees that the Shia are in this area, and the Shia, if they're not supporting the Afghan against the Russians, or they're not supporting the militant jihadi groups, or they're not supporting the Taliban, then that person sees this situation, says two birds in one stone. Number one, I want that land. And number two, if there is someone from the Mushrik, Bid'ah, Ahl Shia, then if they get in our way, then we will finish them. We will kill them. Add to that, a leader in Pakistan who comes in, Zia ul Haq, was the leader of Pakistan in the mid-80s. He wants that area to be the central base for the Mujahideen. If I'm a Shi'i living in that area, and that area becomes a central base for the Mujahideen, what's going to happen to me? The Mujahid on the one hand is fighting the Russians. On the other hand, he sees me doing Latomo Matam, for example. Or he sees Adul Janah coming out in the procession. Or he sees an area where people are calling out Ya Ali and Ya Hussein. What do you think that person will do? Turn around and say, these are my Shia brethren, let them practice as they want. No. At the end of the day, I want them dead. And I want their land. I want control of this whole area. The political government, which normally does nothing, now the Al-Haq is saying that I'm fully behind this area being a Mujahideen base. And that's where you saw from 1979, 1980s, that area became the center of what? Of killings, of violence, and of oppression. Instead of that area being a place where Muslims could all live together in peace, no way. From there, the 1980s, you had this tribe against that tribe. The Tori tribe, which of course is the Shia tribe amongst the Shia tribes over there. If they saw their own Shia being insulted, as that happened in 1996, when someone in a school wrote an anti-Shia slur on the blackboard, Shia turned up, they said, what? We're not going to sit here and have people who write something anti-Shia against us. So they stood up. Why did they stand up? The Quran says in Surah 22 verse 39, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير. Permission has been given to the fighters to fight. Why? Because they've been oppressed. And Allah will ensure their victory is complete. 1996, why does this continuously occur? Because if that's now a base for the Mujahideen, and the Mujahid is already raised with books, at that time, the books were spreading far and wide of different Salafi, Deobandi, Ahl Hadith thinkers. Either you had Ihsan Zahir Ilahi, if I'm not mistaken his name, or you had all of a sudden groups that emerge like Sipah Sahaba. When a group is called Sipah Sahaba, what does Sipah mean? Sipah means army. Sahaba means the companions. So you have a group who are calling themselves the army of the Sahaba. Why? Because the Shia, they say, do not respect the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Shia, we respect the Sahaba. There's the biggest insult to say we don't respect the Sahaba. So what? I name my son Salman and Abu Dhar and Miqdad and Ammar and Bilal and Hudayfa and Abu Sa'id. I name all of them these names. I don't respect the Sahaba. But I have a difference on certain Sahaba. At the end of the day, last time I checked, you don't have a concept called imama, like you make fun of me of having imama. Unless you suddenly believe that to respect the first three companions is now another part of Usul al-Din. Then we have to debate imama and khilafah. But they said that we are the army of the Sahaba. And the Shia retaliated with Sipah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So you had therefore Sipah Sahaba. This went violent in the 80s and the 90s. Where you had Sipah Muhammad and Sipah Sahaba. And you had all of these different groups who in particular, in reality, the first attack was on the Shia. Why? Because the Shia didn't follow the militancy and the ways of the Taliban and of the Mujahideen and of the Salafis, and we want their land. So if you have to behead a group of Shia, behead them. And if you have to kill Shia speakers, kill them. And if you have to kill Shia thinkers, kill them. If you have to kill Shia poets, kill the Shia poets. Someone says, what do you mean? You have, for example, Allama Arif Husseini was killed in 1988. One of the top Shia ulama of Pakistan. Get rid of him. You have, for example, thinkers like Muhsin Naqwi, killed because, again, Shia. This would continue to escalate towards where? From the Parachinar area, then if we can't kill you in Parachinar, we'll kill in Karachi. And then suddenly killings begin to happen where? In Karachi. You're a poet, I shoot you. Sifti Ja'far, for example, poet, where many people recite his latmiyat, his nohas, he was killed. Doctors who are Shia, killed. Why? Because he's Shia. That's it. Nothing else. Say, Habiba, the doctor has got nothing to do with the situation. No. Shia intellectual, kill them. Shia doctor, kill them. Where does this emerge from? It emerges from what's taken place in the 1980s in that area. If the Iranian revolution is spreading, then the revolution completely opposed to that, the one that hates it, the one that's against it, will spread as well. And that's why in the 90s, it was normal to go after the Shia and to kill them. In turn, the Shia came back. That if you're going to come and kill us, then we're going to retaliate and we're going to defend ourselves. Period. There was maybe some peace that occurs. Then again in 2007, a procession goes out, and that procession, anti-Shia, with the statements, with the slandering, the Shia again have to defend themselves. 2007. A few years after 2007, Shia going towards Ziyara. On their way towards Ziyara, again, what happens? Again, they come towards the Shia and they do what to them? They come towards the Shia and they get the people off the bus and they behead each of those people. Behead them, why? Because these people are not following the right way of Islam. Habibi, firstly, your way of Islam is made up of so many ijtihadi opinions, it's unreal. At the end of the day, your fiqh, as whatever you follow, Ahl al-Hadith, or you call yourself Deobandi, or you call yourself Salafi, the general thing that you are is you follow Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. There are others in Ahl al-Sunnah who differ with your fiqh worldview or your political worldview. So what do? You go and kill them? You cannot say that your understanding of Islam is the only understanding that exists of Islam. Even in your own school, you pray a certain way, and another one prays in this way, and another one prays in that way. You're coming to kill a group of people. Why? Why kill these people? Subhanallah, are these people going against Tawheed, against Nubuwwah, against the belief in Qiyamah? You may have a different conception of Tawheed to your fellow Sunni. You know, in the Sunni world, there are some who believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a body, and He has hands, and He has eyes, and He sits on a throne. And there are some in the Sunni world who deny all types of anthropomorphism. They say, no, laysa kamithlihi shay. There is none like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That person differs with you in their definition of Tawheed. You may have someone in the Sunni world who believes the Quran is created. Others who might believe the Quran is eternal. That person differs with you. You may have someone in the Sunni world who believes in complete predestination, and another Sunni who believes in complete free will. As you saw in our history with the Mu'tazila and the Asha'ira and so on. So what, you go and kill another Sunni because they differ with you in theology? If another Sunni differs with you in definitions of Tawheed, or definitions of theology, definitions of predestination and justice and free will, but you don't kill them, then if a Shia differs with you with a similar opinion to theirs, why kill that Shia? Someone turns around and says that the killing occurs for which reason? They say the killing occurs because the Shia do not respect the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. No, at the end of the day, you have your narrative and I have my narrative. If my narrative says that Fatima Zahra alayhi salam had her property, her land confiscated, and therefore whoever confiscated her land, I do not respect. You may respect by saying he made a mistake, but at the end of the day, he's close to Rasulullah. I have no problem. That's your narrative. This is my narrative. I have a reading of history. You have a reading of history. You are the same person who says that the mushrik you can sit and talk to. But the one who says La ilaha illallah and that Rasulullah is the messenger of Allah, that person you go and kill. And the irony of all ironies, wallah, with these people, is that you'll see when you look in Palestine today, you'll see their bravery and their muscles can all be seen, in many cases, with their fellow Muslims. The moment you tell him about what's happening in Palestine, for example, suddenly goes quiet. We saw with ISIS. ISIS, how strong were they in Raqqa and Mosul? When it's a Shi'i, what would they do to the Shi'i? Kill him because he's called Ali or she's called Fatima. The same ISIS, when it comes to Palestine, where are they? Where? Where you gone? Where is everyone gone? Only when it's a Shia. And that's why I will never forget that quote. You all read the quote online. If you were to tell people that the Shia are in control of that area, wallah, all of the Muslims will turn around and come and fight. If you were to say that that's hell, if the people were to say that that area is controlled by the Shia, suddenly, wallah, we'll see Chechenian will come and do jihad, and Bosnian will do jihad, and Jordanian will come and do jihad, and Pakistani will come and do jihad. But if you say, however, at someone else, they'll say, no, it's better for our business interest that we maintain ties and negotiations. Look at us, the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. On the one hand, we've been there in that area since the beginning. That tribe in Parachinar of Shia has been there since the beginning. And wallah, we have no problem if there are Sunni and Shia living in the area. What's the issue? There's a majority Sunni living in that area, 57%, Shia 43%. Of the 785,000 of that area, we can all live together in peace. Someone says, but there's no example in the Muslim world where we live together in peace. There are. There are. Look today in Lebanon, there are Shia helping Sunni and Sunni helping Shia. There are people in parts of Lebanon who are not Shia, but they've said, wallah, we are with the Shia. These are our brothers and sisters. They've been displaced. We are the first to help them. In Oman, Ibadi, Sunni, Shia, all living together in one country. You see in Muscat, people who are living together without having to make a difference that exists there. In Iran, there are Sunni and Shia who are living together. Majority is Shia. But there are people who are not Shia, who are living together, who have their centers, who have their mosques, who have this and that. Therefore, for me, when I look at this area and I see the unfortunate killings that take place, and I must put a word in here on something. Well, probably the safest time this area has seen was in 2019 when Imran Khan was in power in Pakistan. And that is an important point. Imran Khan today is in prison. I can speak as someone who's met Imran Khan, and not just met Imran Khan. There are people who could meet anyone and say Salamu Alaikum and end up saying, oh, I know the person really well. But even when I saw Imran Khan and we sat and we spoke and we had dinner together, and so on and so forth, and our brother Sayyid Zulfi Bukhari and others who were there at the time, when we sat with him, the vision that he had for Pakistan wasn't a vision based on sectarian Sunni killing Shia and Shia killing Sunni, but rather was a vision where people would follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa and try and read the Seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa and live by the principles of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. In 2019, one may argue in 2019, was the safest time, that area on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. And which border, by the way? Which border? You think they worry about a border they could cross whenever they want? The Afghani doesn't acknowledge nor the Pakistani. Which border? He wanted that area to be what? He wanted that area to be a safe area, a safe zone. And it's no coincidence that again in the last couple of years, since the man has gone and now in prison, that again these riots and these fights happen. Why? Because sometimes you fuel these tensions, you keep people busy with these things. You throw something and you make this person kill that person, you take the attention away from the real situation. And wallahi, I pray that Imran Khan comes out of prison and that he's able to take Pakistan to a better place, because Pakistan should not be in this situation. Pakistan is a country that has produced thinkers, has produced great minds, has produced intellectuals, and importantly, there are Sunni and Shia in Pakistan who are best friends with each other, not enemies. Wallahi, I said a few years ago, and I will not mince my words, I learned that you cannot generalize on the Sunni world when I went to Pakistan and India. Because I found that in the Sunni world, there are some people who are the biggest lovers of Ahlul Bayt in Pakistan. In India, you mention Ahlul Bayt, if they know that you are a Sayyid from the descendant of Ahlul Bayt, that person may pray different to you, but he adores Ahlul Bayt and adores anyone related to Ahlul Bayt. So for a person to say that Pakistan, Sunni and Shia, no. Unfortunately, on the one hand, you've got non-Muslim elements who know how to fuel the fire. On the other hand, you've got some who are Muslim, who follow a particular ideology where they want to see everybody killing each other. Sadly, it's not in the media. Someone says, why is it not in the media? On the one hand, it's not in the media because people don't want to know about the oppression that takes place. That doesn't sell. If I say a Pakistani's died, is it going to get me Instagram likes? What does it come down to in the media? There's BBC or other outlets. At the end of the day, if it's a story that's a bit juicier, they might sell it. But if it's a story that's not going to get you any likes or any follow, or it's not interesting, might get a small report. Sometimes you will even see some Muslim outlets. Muslim Shia being killed. Wallah, I raised this in Muharram in the Oman shootings, and now Shia lives don't matter. I'm telling you. I've seen the coverage of Al Jazeera when it comes to Palestine versus Lebanon. You see the skewed coverage that occurs. Yes, some Muslim outlets don't even mention today Parachinar. Not even a word that's being said. But sometimes we also need to build a vision for our future that is not reactive but is proactive. If your child said to you, I want to enter the media, would you place that ahead of medicine? Would you place that ahead of dentistry? Would you place that ahead of being a hedge fund banker somewhere in a city or in the corporate world? Media is an area that can make or break the image of Islam. How many do we have in the media who could speak up and make sure that a report goes through about these people who are oppressed? Why? Imam Ali alayhi salam said, oppose the oppressor, support the oppressed. The Prophet said, whoever wakes up in the morning and does not care about the affairs of the Muslims is not a Muslim. If I've woken up and I don't care about the affairs of the Pakistani Muslim who's being butchered, whose children are being beheaded, then I am also part of the issue. That I have to make sure that I find a way. Someone says, our maraja, they are our leaders, they have to speak. You see that our maraja. Only yesterday I received, or 2 days ago, Ayatollah al-Uzma, Sayyid Ali al-Sistani, may Allah lengthen his life, clear statement about Peshawar and Parachinar. A clear statement in honor of those people who have died, in honor of those martyrs. To say that someone has to do something, my dear brothers and sisters, just because you are born on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan doesn't mean you have to be killed or you have to live a life where one day you're going to be beheaded. We live in a world where you would expect that we have a voice that can bring people together. The first thing that needs to be done, and again, I will say this point again, even in the Salafi world, I won't generalize about all Salafis. And I will not generalize about all the Taliban as well. Taliban, there are elements of the Taliban that may hate me. And there are elements of the Taliban, whether I like it or I don't, I have to sit politically and have dialogue with them. You think Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi liked Abu Sufyan? You think Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi liked all those Quraysh leaders when he did the Hudaybiyah peace treaty? He did the Hudaybiyah peace treaty knowing these people had killed members of his religion. But why did he do the treaty? Because in these diplomatic ties, there has to be, and there needs to be, a situation where we sit together. Someone says, I'll never sit with the Taliban. No, you'll see that there are states like Iran that have cordial relations with the Taliban now, have cordial relations with Saudi Arabia. Maybe a few years ago, you might have said, I am anti-Saudi Arabia, I'm anti-Taliban. Today you see that there are certain states that come forward and say that there is a need to sit down and engage in dialogue. If I leave them in the shadows, what's going to happen? The rogue elements are going to come. They'll build up and there'll be killings that will take place. Whereas if I engage in dialogue, how many years the United States tried to finish the Taliban and how many billions were invested until eventually they left that area and the Taliban sat there comfortably. So what's the future? The future is you sit down and you discuss. Just because someone is not on your path of thinking doesn't mean there can't be dialogue and diplomacy. Someone says it'll never happen. Have you seen how dangerous North Waziristan is? South Waziristan? I don't deny. I'm not going to go to Mastung on holiday. Never. Nor am I going to go towards the Hazara community and those who have been killed in that area. But what I can do is the little that I can do to raise my voice and to find people who are like-minded. But it's give and take. I cannot have everything go my way. I have to find a way in which we can all sit together and talk. And find a way, even that part where borders people can just cross as they like. Taliban of Pakistan, Taliban of Afghanistan, and I can have full control of that area, not involve someone in the political process. If I don't involve tribes in that political process, both Shia and non-Shia, then nothing will move forward. The future has to be that people in the political sphere who have influence. Now what do we have? Media and politics. Again, if I was to ask you, who's the best Shia diplomat in the world? There are maybe one or two you'll mention to me and not more. Who are the best in the media, who are voices? You'll mention one or two and not more. The only way forward in this delicate situation is that a person engages in these two key areas. But for those people who are dying, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how difficult it is. Wallah. That's why Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, when he would talk about his Shia, and he would come forward and say that our Shia are like red gold. The more you place it in fire, the more you see an increase in quality. Without a doubt, you'll find that the more fire you oppress the Shia with, the more you see the quality of the faith of the Shia. Wallah. Only recently, I said this in my majlis a few days ago. Imagine how it's still ringing in my ears. I saw that mother of that person in Lebanon being buried, and she's quoting the khutbah of Sayyidah Zainab while her son is being buried. And then you see in the area of Parachinar those who are saying this is little for Abu Abdullah. This is little for the martyrs of Karbala. This is little in the path of who? They say in the path of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Imagine. You would think that that person, when they face that oppression, we take lessons from them. They don't take lessons from me. I learn from them. When I see all of these who have died on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I learn from them. And if I were to ask them, how did you have such strength? They might turn around to me and say, with all that genocide that's occurred to us, these are our role models. We are just those who continue that message. Wallah. You think Parachinar hasn't happened in our history? You think all these massacres haven't happened? One only looks at a massacre like Waqa'at al-Fakh, the incident of Fakh, when the great-grandchildren of Fatima al-Zahra were all placed in a certain area and all beheaded, one after the other. To the extent that the Imams would say, after Karbala, the worst massacre was Fakh. If there was no Karbala, then Fakh would be the worst of massacres. And how many of us know about Fakh? If you ask your average Shi'i, tell me about the incident of Fakh. Many will say, I don't know. And if we don't know, it affects us in two ways. One, we lack the inspiration from an incident, then we become weaker. Whereas if you look at how we survive, you become stronger. The incident of Fakh, a genocide occurs. And genocide occurs in many other places in Shia history. Why? Because a lover of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, whose daughter is called Fatima and whose son is called Ali, only because of their identity, they are not allowed to live. And they're beheaded and they're burned. Imagine being beheaded. Imagine being burned. Imagine being attacked. All of these things that we see, imagine all of them in one day. Imagine. Sometimes you see someone, you hear someone's been beheaded, but not someone has been burnt with fire. And then sometimes you hear someone who's been burnt with some fire, but not beheaded. And then sometimes you hear children, like we see children running around today, but nothing else. Imagine all of those in one day. And that's why we say that Karbala remains our banner and our slogan for our life. That whenever we see all this oppression, we think of the events of the 10th of Muharram. And it's not just us who use those events as an inspiration. Look at Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, how great he is. Imam al-Sadiq was not at Karbala, but who did he learn about Karbala from? Amongst the sources, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam was in Karbala. He was a few years of age. So imagine what he narrated to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam al-Sadiq, how much he knew about Karbala, it acted as an inspiration for him. Why? Because he knew that because he is the grandson of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, there's a chance that they're going to attack him and they're going to attack his family. Wallah, when I see these families being attacked, I say, so were the Imams and their families. Someone says, yes, I know, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Hussein, not just them, the other Imams of Ahlul Bayt were also attacked because they were the children of Fatima. Imagine, you are a lover of Fatima, you get attacked. Imagine you're from the grandchildren of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. And that's why the narrations mention to us that the Abbasid government one day, they had decided they want to depose of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. So they decided to burn the house of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam while he was in the house, and the rest of the daughters of Fatima. Imagine the daughters of Fatima al-Zahra running from one side of the house to another. And all of them are looking for the Imam of their time so that the Imam of their time would help them. All of us look for the Imam of our time now when we see the dhulm against the Shia of Lebanon and the Shia of Iraq and the Shia of Iran and Afghanistan and Pakistan and the Shia of Yemen and those in Syria and Bahrain and all around the Muslim world. The Imam of our time, the Imam of our time, we couldn't see him, we can't see him, but we hope that one day we'll be able to call on him so that he'll be able to be there with us. But for those ladies in the house of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, they were able to call out the Imam. They ran from one side to another, one of them calling out their father, and another calling out their uncle, and another calling for her husband to come towards her. The day after this had happened, Imam, of course, alhamdulillah, he was able to help his daughters. He was able to save his daughters. But when his companion came to visit him, his companion said to him, when he saw him crying and crying and crying, his companion was surprised. This is an Imam of Ahlul Bayt. They teach us sabr, they teach us taslim, they teach us rida. But here's an Imam who's crying and crying. So he asked the Imam, he said to him, Imam, you teach us patience, but I see you crying. What is it about what happened that makes you cry? The Imam's reply breaks all of our hearts. The Imam said to him, Wallah, I cry because when I saw my daughters running from one part of the house to the other, I remembered the daughters of Abu Abdullah on the night of the 11th of Muharram. When I see those girls in Pakistan running from one side to another calling out Wa Abbasan wa Husayna, then we remember the daughters of Abu Abdullah running from one tent to another. All of the daughters had a special place in the heart of Abu Abdullah. But Sukaina bint al-Hussein especially, she was a soft spot for him. So imagine if Imam al-Hussein's head is on a spear, it's not like he can't see Sukaina calling out for her father to come and help her. Why? Because Hamid bin Muslim narrates, he said, I saw the fire burning the dress of the daughter of Abu Abdullah. When I came to her, I gave her some water. She looked at me. She said to me, oh man, are you with us or are you against us? He said to her, I'm neither with you nor am I against you. She said, how could you give me water when my father died thirsty on the plains of Karbala? Then she said to him, oh man, have you read the Quran? He said to her, yes I have. She said to him, have you read the ayah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. Allahu Akbar. As for the orphan, do not hurt the orphan. He said to her, yes I have. She said, Ana yatimat al-Hussein alayhi salam. I am the orphan of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Let every orphan, a child, wherever it may be, remember yatimat al-Hussein alayhi salam. Then she said to him, you read the ayah, if someone asks you a question, do not reject them. He said to her, yes, go ahead, ask me. She said to him, tell me, where is the land of Najaf? Allah, what a question. Our hearts are all there. Tell me about the land of Najaf. My grandfather's buried buried in that land. Tell me so I may tell him what they did to his sons on the plains of Karbala. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Our brothers and sisters in Parachinar, Ya Allah, bless them, give them peace and prosperity, and remove the oppression that they face, Ya Allah. Raise us with Muhammad and Al Muhammad, and allow us to be amongst the companions of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. On behalf of myself and the congregation and the channel, all of us send our condolences to the families of those martyrs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them in this period patience with what they have seen, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the Surah Al-Fatiha in honor of those martyrs. But before it, wherever you may be, the loudest of your salawat.
In the heart of London, Imam Hussein Media Group is on the brink of an extraordinary transformation. We are securing a new home, a sanctuary named after the Queen of Karbala, Lady Zainab Salamullahi alayhi, who commemorated Abi Abdullah al-Hussein and spread the message of Karbala. This new complex, spanning 515 square meters, will be the central hub for our 5 channels. A place for filming, editing, broadcasting and gathering as a community. With a cost of £1.5 million, we invite you to be part of this new chapter. Each square meter will cost £2,900, but every contribution counts. One share is £290, or even one brick is £50. Your donation will not only build this sanctuary, but also secure immense rewards in this world and the hereafter. Every show produced, every message broadcasted will be a source of thawab for you and your families. By helping us secure this building, you are paving the way for millions to connect with Karbala and the message of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam through our channels. Join the ranks of the lovers of Aba Abdullah. Be part of this noble cause. Donate today and make a lasting impact on Shia media globally.